We're going to talk about the white and the red horses in Revelation chapter 6, 1-4. Let me read it to you. In particular, I'm just going to focus on verses 1 and 2. I watched when the Lamb opened one of the seven seals, and I heard one of the four living creatures say with a voice like thunder, "Come." And I looked, and behold, a white horse, and its rider had a bow, and a crown was given to him, and he came out conquering and to conquer. So as we continue to look at the book of Revelation, it's always helpful for us to be reminded that the highly symbolic character of this book means that we need to be very careful about reading the imagery of the book as a literal and chronological depiction of end times event. Now, what do I mean by that? Because if we try to read the images in a very wooden, strict way, we will end up unable to make sense of Jesus' message to us through John. So it's important, this clue that we see here, as one particular commentator notes on this particular scene in Revelation 5:6-7. And it's important to note that John's description of Jesus as a slain lamb with 7 horns and 7 eyes. So without a doubt, John is not telling us that the ascended Christ now resembles some kind of mystical creature. Moreover, a lamb would not ordinarily be able to grab a scroll with hoofed feet, but the lamb in this text approaches God's throne and takes the scroll. These are not literal descriptions of heaven, but they're pictures used to portray the strength and the work of Jesus. So when we come to the breaking of the 7 seals that are on the scroll, we're not likely reading about a series of consecutive events that proceed as they are literally described. This passage describes the breaking of the first 2 seals, which releases 2 horses that have specific tasks. And Zechariah chapter 6, 1-8 serves as a bit of background for these horses, and also for those in Revelation 6, 5-8, which, with the colours of the horses in each case, largely matching each other. In Zechariah's prophecy, the horses and the chariots, they pull and represent the watchful eyes of the angels as they patrol the earth and keep watch on what's going on. So the horses and their riders in Revelation 6, however, do more than just keep an eye on earthly events. They are each given a specific task to perform. The first horse is white, and it features a rider armed with a bow who was sent forth to conquer. Now, some interpreters have argued the rider here is Jesus, who conquers with the gospel. Yet even though Jesus does ride a white horse later in Revelation 19, 11-16, the rider here in 6, 1-2 is probably not Jesus. White horses were commonly associated with the military in the 1st century, and the Romans feared the Parthians on the eastern border of their empires who carried bows and sought to capture territory. The idea here seems to be that war will characterize the period leading up to Jesus' return, and that the second seal gives us a red horse with a rider who brings strife to earth seems to confirm this. So Jesus is sovereign over all, but that does not mean the period before his return is one of peace. Instead, war will characterize this era, and especially war against the people of God. When we see war all around us, we should not be surprised, nor should we be paralyzed by fear. These things must take place, and we need to pray that the Lord will keep his people safe and that violence will be restrained.